Happy Friday, ladies and gents. DFS 5-pack here. Ryan Kostrowski ready to talk some NBA DFS for Friday evening. Hopefully everybody stayed in the green again last night. Let's keep the positive momentum and the money rolling in. Let's talk about tonight's slate. If you can click the thumbs up button, it is sincerely appreciated. Let's jump right into this bad boy and go from there. All right, guys, before we do anything, though, let's not forget to give a shout out to our boys over at Drafters. Best kept secret in the world of daily fantasy sports is playing on Drafters. Daily snake drafts, play with your friends, come play with 5-pack members, come play with us as a group, or just get on there and play against random people. It is a good time. It is fun. A couple of different formats, GPP, cash type of plays. There's a lot of things you can do right there. Weekly and monthly memberships are available at the website link below. Very, very fair price tags. And also you get both sports right now, both baseball and basketball. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. And let's move over to cash games for the day. Cash game play, cash game lock for the day. So please hear me out on this one. There is actually a wide variety of paydown options on this slate. The three teams or the three games going tonight have more cheap places to go than a normal playoff slate. And we're going to start with Maxi Kleber. Now, he's listed as questionable, but guys, he's been questionable the last couple of games. He's playing tonight. It's game 3 at home, looking to go 3 up on the clip show tonight. So Kleber's going to be in there. Now, you're going to have to watch and pay attention, but I feel very confident he's going to play again tonight. So early in the day, with all these paydown options, the guy getting a lot of ownership projection love is Maxi Kleber of the Dallas Mavericks. He's been solid through the first two. Had a really good opening game 2 and, didn't do much down the second half, but that's kind of what you expect with cheaper role players like this. He's been playing really, really big minutes. They like his defense and his size in the matchup with the Clippers, so expect him to play really big minutes again here. Again, role players tend to play better at home, so you got the Mavericks heading home tonight. Maxi Kleber is the guy getting the projection love, though. I got a bunch of pivots for GPPs. We brought them all up in the members-only video. If anybody wants to watch it, it's out there for you. But for cash games, I'm going to play the popularity game right here and go with the guy that at least early in the day is getting the projection and ownership love, and that would be Maxi Kleber of the Dallas Mavericks. Next up, let's talk about another cheaper option, and let's talk about today's cover boy, Red Velvet of the Atlanta Hawks. So of all the games or all the series in the first round, the only one that I would bet on going 7 games is the Hawks and the Knicks. I think these teams are very evenly matched, a little bit more talent on Atlanta, little, good coaching in New York, play hard-nosed defense. I think we got a really, really good series here. And I legit wouldn't be surprised if they go 7 and all 7 games are competitive, just like the first 2 games have happened. Enter Kevin Huerter. First playoff game of his NBA career, game 1, didn't do a lot. Wasn't awful from a DFS perspective. Played his 26 minutes, I think it was, and he was all right. Game 2, looked much more engaged, looked much more comfortable out there. He's still really, really cheap at only $4,500. And, we brought up Bogdanovich the other day as a long shot with the Knicks doing everything they can to stop Trae Young. Bogdanovich was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He was, you 5X, which you'll take on a playoff series, nothing more, nothing less. But a lot of the same things that we brought up with him the other day apply to Kevin Huerter as well. You need alternative ball handlers with the Knicks defense, which is really good, trying. I'm not saying they're gonna, but they are trying really hard to stop Trae Young, and that's where Kevin Huerter steps in. Again, he comes off the bench, but he has a very solid role with this team. Only 4,500. I love the position flexibility on a day like today, which the shooting guard and the small forward eligibility. Him and Bogey are the 2 guys that can really, key in to help with the ball handling and things like that. He gets to run some of his time alternative to Trae Young, which can help with his usage. And again, the price tag and the position here make a lot of sense for a guy who should play, 25 to 30 minutes, something like that. And the defense, again, is going to be trying really hard to stop Trae Young, which could open up Huerter for a few shots. I think he actually has room for growth, too. I think he dropped about 29 DK points last game, 27, 28, 29, somewhere in the upper 20s. I don't think it'd be flabbergasting for him to end up in the 30s right here. But I think he's a solid floor play as well. With a minimum, like a mid-teens type of performance would be my guess. Next up, the Claw, Kawhi Leonard, 8,500. Guys, he's just way too cheap. I don't know why they don't raise his price. He was chalk game 1, he balled. He was chalk game 2, he balled. Yeah, he's like $100 more expensive now, or $200 or whatever it is. But how do you not play Kawhi Leonard? Like, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will be big, big chalk today. Why? because they're way too cheap, and they deserve to play big chalk. Leonard has played big minutes game 1 and game 2. And quite frankly, like anybody who's ever watched the game of basketball just knows Kawhi Leonard is significantly more trustworthy than Paul George in the playoffs. Doesn't mean you can't play both of them, as they're both going to be really popular on this one. You got a desperate Clippers team right here. I can see fading Kawhi if you tell yourself the following story, that this game isn't close. Either the Clippers finally say enough is enough and just ball on the Mavericks tonight, or the Mavericks get home and just, want to put the final nail in the coffin, put them down 3-0, and they roll on the Clippers tonight. If this game is even semi-competitive, which is what I would guess it to be, doesn't mean it's going to be, but that would be my guess. I think Kawhi, it's really difficult to see him, getting less than the mid-30s. But also, we've seen him in the 50s already twice. I think that's a better bet. If you had to ask me to guess 50 plus or 35 or under, I would guess 50 plus. It's what we've seen so far. He does things in a variety of different ways. He's going to score his points. He's going to get his 5 to 10 rebounds, get his 4 to 9 assists or whatever it might be. He's very likely going to get a couple of steals. They're going to need him out there in desperation mode. He's going to play big minutes, barring foul trouble is never an issue with him. Injury can happen to anybody, but you're never going to bet on that. Or if the game's just not competitive, that's possible, but it's not the likely scenario. All right, next up. So let's start talking about some more long shots for today. And let's talk about Taj Gibson. So I mentioned early that Maxi Kleber looks like the chalk cheap guy. Well, Taj Gibson, again, early in the day, projected for half of his ownership. If that remains true, then Taj Gibson would fall into more of the long shot category. So far in this series, Gibson has been playing big minutes, and very important for me at least. This is Coach Thibs' guy, and if you watched the second half the other day, he started the second half above Nerlens Noel, who had been hot garbage early on in the series. Gibson is not the sexiest of plays, but at a sub 4K price tag, Mitchell Robinson remains out. I fully expect him to play big minutes. This is one of Coach Thibs' guys. He took Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson, and these are clearly players that he likes and he trusts. I expect Gibson to play at least 25 minutes tonight, and I would not be surprised if he starts. I wouldn't be surprised by 30 plus. I don't care if he starts or not because I think he's going to play big minutes no matter what. And kind of if he doesn't start, I actually think that's really good for getting him at lower ownership, which in the playoffs, there's a lot of bad plays out there for DFS in the NBA playoffs. I want him at lower ownership because I think he's bound to succeed either direction. All right. So Matt wanted me to bring up his long shot of the day, which is Jayson Tatum. Quite frankly, you want to talk about desperation mode. I give the Celtics somewhere between 0 and 0.01% of chance of winning this series. That doesn't mean you don't get their absolute best shot tonight. You got Jayson Tatum in total desperation mode. He's been god-awful to start the series as the Nets have just rolled on the Boston Celtics. The series shifts to Boston tonight. You got Kemba Walker, who's banged up at best. He can't shoot any worse, really, than he shot the first couple of games. And this is, for me, the true definition of a long shot. I think the other studs, you're going to see the Clippers guys as big chalk. I think you're going to see Luka and Durant, probably even Kyrie with higher ownership than Jayson Tatum. So he is a true long shot by ownership perspective. Now, get some confidence early, starts making some shots. You could see a scenario where Tatum has a really big game tonight because, quite frankly, the Boston Celtics need this game way more than the Nets. Could this be the game where the Nets are sitting fat and happy? It's possible. I mean, there's no way the Nets don't win this series. I know it, you know it, and they know it. Could they just not bring their A game tonight? Sure, it's completely plausible. Could Tatum have the game of his life? I think it's very plausible. He's in complete and utter desperation mode right here, and if you can get some confidence early, coming off of 2 just terrible games, look for him to, Jayson Tatum's a real good basketball player against a less than stellar defense, and he needs everything that he can possibly give you guys tonight. So it's a long shot, but that's why he's brought up under the long shot category. All right, guys, good luck tonight. Go win yourself that money, and we will see you in just a little while to talk over a little MLB for Friday night.